Just as the hitman was about to pull the trigger, a beautiful woman blocked his shot. Well-trained, he quickly shifted his scope back to the target, but a man's instinct made him sneak another glance. He then checked his watch and saw his heart rate had spiked to 101. He realized he couldn't continue like this, so he calmed his nerves. After a moment, his heart rate finally dropped to 65. The man knew his chance had arrived because this was when he was at his peak. He quickly adjusted the sniper rifle. He had never missed a shot before. Once the crosshairs were on the target, filled with confidence, he pulled the trigger without hesitation. But unexpectedly, in that instant, the woman suddenly moved, taking the bullet for the target. He quickly chambered another round, preparing for a second shot, but by then, the target's bodyguards had rushed in and quickly drew the curtains. The man knew the chance was gone. A failed attempt meant abandoning the mission. He quickly packed his gear, not forgetting to pick up the spent shell casing. After ensuring no evidence was left behind, he quickly fled the scene. He prepared an electric scooter downstairs. Compared to a car, an electric scooter is far less conspicuous. The police had arrived by then, but they were a step too late. On the road, the man first tossed the magazine, then casually tossed the sniper rifle into a passing garbage truck. Next, he deliberately turned into an empty alley, effortlessly avoiding the police cars. The entire escape was flawless. Finally, he threw his helmet into the river. While he might not be the top assassin, he was certainly the most detail-oriented. Every mission was preceded by weeks of reconnaissance, memorizing every street and escape route. That's why he always made a clean getaway. Afterwards, he found a public restroom to wash up and shave his beard, to mask his scent after changing his clothes. He even sprayed on some cologne. Only when everything was in order did he leave the restroom and head straight for the airport. Once there, he discreetly took out his personal handgun, wiped it clean of fingerprints, and tossed it into a trash can. But just as he was about to go through security, he noticed the police were already waiting. He wasn't afraid of the officers, but they had a K9 unit with them, and the dog was staring right at him. The man realized it was too risky to approach. He quickly returned to the restroom to wash his scent off again. You can't fool a dog's nose, especially a trained police dog. Just then, his handler called, telling him the client knew about the failed mission and was furious. He knew that after a failed high-profile hit, clients often eliminate the assassin to prevent any retaliation. This meant the man was now in grave danger. After the call, he immediately crushed the phone to avoid being tracked. Now, he was not only being hunted by the police, but also by hidden assassins. He couldn't let his guard down for a second. Even on the plane, he scanned his surroundings. That's when he noticed a man in sunglasses kept looking his way, as if he was being followed. So, as soon as the plane landed, he booked a connecting flight. But his fate would have it the other man deplaned as well and bought a ticket for the very same flight. He was instantly on high alert. This man had to be the assassin sent by his former client. For his own safety, he changed his flight to the next day and checked into an airport hotel. He then ordered room service, but he wasn't actually hungry. He just wanted the cutlery. The man balanced a glass on the doorknob, placing a metal tray beneath it. That way, if anyone tried to open the door, he would know instantly. He also grabbed a small knife for protection. Only then did he feel safe enough to turn off the lights. Luckily, the night passed without incident. Soon, he was on a plane home. After landing, he got into his car and sped towards his house. He thought his ordeal was finally over, but the moment he arrived home, he knew something was wrong. There were large footprints on the ground, clearly not his wife's, and beside them, a pile of cigarette butts. Someone had been waiting for him. He quickly grabbed the handgun he kept in his car and ran towards the tree line. His gut told him his wife was in trouble. And sure enough, when he went inside, the house was empty. The music was still playing. Blood stains on the wall showed that a brutal struggle had taken place. He could only pray that she was all right. He quickly called his wife's cell phone. When he learned she was alive, the man was finally able to breathe, but she was badly injured and receiving treatment at the hospital. When he rushed over, he saw her lying in the hospital bed, barely conscious. He was overwhelmed with grief, regretting the day he became a hitman and dragged the love of his life into his world. According to his brother-in-law, the attackers were a man and a woman. They weren't wearing masks, apparently not afraid of being identified. They demanded she tell them where her husband was. Of course, she refused. When their interrogation failed, the two of them tortured her mercilessly. After they were done, they left in a green taxi cab.
I promise, I swear to you, nothing like this will ever be allowed to happen again.
Although she was lucky to be alive, her severe injuries would take months of treatment to heal. Just then, she woke up, but the first thing she said wasn't to blame him, but to ask if her husband was safe.
I was so afraid I might say something. But I didn't. No matter what they said, no matter what he did, I didn't tell them anything.
The more she showed her concern, the more guilt and rage welled up inside him. He silently swore that he would make them all pay, and so his plan for revenge began. He dug up a cache in his yard, retrieving weapons, gear, and a collection of fake IDs. He then drove all over the city, searching for a green taxi. There were many different taxi companies, and each used a different color. This made his search extremely difficult. After driving through nearly the entire city, he finally spotted a few green taxis, but he still needed to find the right driver. So, the man followed one of the cabs back to the company depot. He put on a mask, pulled out his weapon, put it to the dispatcher's head, and walked right in. Once inside, he searched the computer for recent trip logs and quickly found the record of the taxi that had been near his house. The log identified the driver as a young black man. After getting what he needed, he scattered the cash from the desk and trashed the room to make it look like a robbery. With this new information, he quickly found the driver and hailed him, pretending to be a tourist. As soon as he was in the car, he pulled his gun. The sudden move startled the young driver, who quickly handed over his wallet. The man took it dismissively and asked him if 3 days ago he had given a ride to a man and a woman. Under the threat of the gun, the driver quickly confessed. He had indeed picked up a man and woman at the airport. The woman was thin with white blonde hair, and the man was built like a brick house. They told him to follow the map's directions to a private residence, which turned out to be the hitman's home. After getting the story, he told the driver to turn and drive to a secluded area.
They came back after sunset. The guy's leg was all bloody and fucked up. They wanted me to take him back to the airport, so I did.
The driver even offered him a pack of cigarettes, telling him to stay calm. But in the next second, the hitman shot him without a moment's hesitation. The driver had seen his face. He couldn't be left alive. But even though he now knew what happened, he still didn't know the true identities of the man and woman, or who had hired them. The next day, he went to his private storage unit. It contained everything he needed for his revenge: ammunition and hundreds of fake identities. He even had a large stock of license plates. He picked one at random and swapped it onto his car. With that done, he had a garbage bin delivered, along with a nail gun and a drum of concentrated sulfuric acid. His next move was to disguise himself as a janitor and infiltrate his handler's office. His boss would definitely have information on the client and the other assassins. It was highly likely he was involved. Otherwise, how would the attackers have known the office building had security that he couldn't get past? He had to wait for a delivery person and slip in behind them, pretending to be collecting the trash. Once he reached the office area, he silently wondered how long the automatic door stayed open. To avoid drawing attention, he pretended to be taking a water break. The courier left without a second glance. He waited until the courier was safely in the elevator. Then, at the last second, he jammed the closing door with his foot. The assistant inside was completely oblivious to the danger that was quietly approaching. He picked up his tools and walked right in, startling her. The woman knew exactly how dangerous he was and had no choice but to lead him to her boss's office. The boss understood the situation immediately, but remained calm. "Why did you come back?" he asked. "Aren't you afraid the police will find you?" The hitman ignored him and ordered the assistant to tie up her boss. Then, he told her to go tie herself up in the
Be
bathroom.
resolved in a moment, darling, I promise you.
His old boss seemed confident he could talk his way out of this. The hitman cut straight to the chase. Who was the client? But his boss just started taunting him. When his boss refused to talk, he fired the nail gun into the desk right next to him. But the man was still defiant, refusing to reveal anything. He even boasted that without him, the hitman wouldn't be able to earn a
You
living.
think you're trying to intimidate? You're not gonna. There's no upside. The only logical choice for you is to turn around right now, walk out that door.
Before he could finish his sentence, the hitman fired a nail directly into his chest. He immediately began struggling to breathe. He wouldn't die instantly, but he had 4 minutes at most. In the bathroom, the assistant was so terrified she could barely breathe. It was too late for regrets now. The hitman even dialed 911 for him, leaving the phone for him to make the call, but the man couldn't even speak. He stumbled and collapsed. Seeing this, the hitman quickly slid a newspaper under him to keep the blood off the floor, but his chain-smoking boss didn't even last 2 minutes. He then opened the bathroom door. The assistant knew what he was capable of, how he could easily fake a cause of death. Begging for her life was pointless. She only asked that he not make her body disappear so her children could collect the life insurance. But a hitman can't afford to have sympathy. Sympathy creates weakness, and weakness is fatal. He then wrapped up his boss's body and stuffed it into the garbage bin. Then, he and the assistant got into the elevator.
Need any help getting rid of that body?
She could only play along with his dark humor. The man then drove her to her house. With the assistant's help, he successfully found the information on the two assassins, as well as the client's home address. Once he had what he needed, he didn't hesitate to snap her neck, staging the scene to look like she'd fallen down the stairs. Back at his storage unit, he used the sulfuric acid to dissolve his boss's body. In the end, his 150-pound boss was reduced to a mere 150 grams of sludge, which he sealed in a container and tossed into the river. Next on his list were the two assassins. Using the address from the assistant, he found the long-haired male killer's house. It was clear the man was a force to be reckoned with, and he had a pit bull, which complicated things. He had to plan his approach carefully. He went to a supermarket and bought some meat and a bottle of sleeping pills. Now, all he had to do was wait. Seeing his target leave, he quietly followed. When he saw the man head into a bar for a night out, he was relieved. This meant they wouldn't be back for a while. Now he could proceed with his plan. First, he tossed the meat laced with sleeping pills over the fence for the pit bull. After the dog ate it, he only had to wait. 10 minutes later, the barking stopped. The man knew his opportunity had arrived. He slipped quietly inside. Seeing the dog sound asleep boosted his confidence. He made his way with his gun to the long-haired man's bedroom. He expected an easy kill, but the other hitman was no amateur. He'd used the sound of the TV in the shower to lure him into an ambush. He'd already sensed something was wrong. The two began to brawl. The man's handgun was knocked away. His opponent's close-quarters combat skills were superior, and he was quickly overpowered.
You took the wrong house, motherfucker.
The long-haired man had mistaken him for a common burglar. He couldn't find a way to overpower his larger opponent and was forced to retreat while fighting. He used anything he could as a weapon, but he was no match for the other man's brute strength and was quickly thrown to the floor. At the last second, he grabbed a nearby metal rod and fought him off. He plunged it deep into the man's shoulder. Even so, the long-haired man fought through the pain and attacked, pulling a handgun from a nearby drawer. Fortunately, he reacted quickly, breaking the man's wrist with the rod, then kicking him to the ground and sending him crashing into a wooden shelf. He took the chance to hide under a cabinet. By now, his opponent had pulled the splintered wood from his back. He had to think fast because the other man was closing in with the gun. Fortunately, our hitman was agile and used the opening between shots to dash into the bedroom. By now, his opponent had guessed his identity. Dragging his wounded body, he was determined to finish the job. Just as death seemed imminent, he found the gun on the floor. He immediately opened fire through the door. After a few shots, the long-haired man was down. Before he could utter a final word, the man finished him without hesitation. At that moment, the pit bull was finally awakened by the loud commotion. It immediately ran towards the bedroom. He fell asleep on the plane. After he landed, he immediately followed the address and found the female assassin's home. After 2 days and nights of surveillance, he finally saw her leave the house. It looked like she was heading out for a date. As she left, the man immediately started his car and followed her. Before long, they were stopped at a red light. He quietly pulled his car up beside hers, intending to finish her off right there. But just as he was about to fire, he heard police sirens in the distance. He had no choice but to back off for now. Soon, she pulled over up ahead and walked into a restaurant. A man was with her. It seemed she really was on a
It's
date.
common knowledge when a female is found slain, the prime suspect is always the husband or boyfriend.
After her date left, the hitman calmly walked over and sat down. Seeing the gun, the woman instantly knew who he was, regretting that she hadn't told him to finish the job.
Tell me Hodges is dead, please.
Tell me
Give
he
me
made
that.
it. Help me.
Tell
He
me
made
he
it.
went
Gone.
horribly.
Duder and Blitz Merce.
Help yourself.
Help yourself.
The chef sends out anything he imagines I might like. This is his signature dish. It's delicious. I find better even in the city.
Her polite demeanor wasn't a sign of surrender, quite the opposite. She wanted to lull him into a false sense of security, looking for a chance to strike. For a killer, acting is a required skill. But as a top assassin himself, the man wouldn't be fooled by such a simple trick. When he remained silent, the woman started to blame the long-haired man, claiming it was all his idea, that she never wanted to hurt his wife and had even tried to stop him. But unfortunately, he just wouldn't listen.
Get a name, you get an address. It's nothing personal. We've all
The man
had to work
remained
through
silent,
the occasional
just
civilian
watching
who
her.
stood between eyes and the prize.
Performance. The woman knew she was going to die today. She stopped resisting and walked out of the restaurant.
Far be it from me, but maybe down by the river. Last minute. Spent knowing her last minute.
As they were walking, she suddenly tripped and fell. She thought he might be gentleman enough to help her up, but in the next second, he pulled the trigger because the man knew she'd fallen on purpose, looking for an opportunity to strike back. There can be no trust between assassins. However, this was far from over. He had only eliminated the attack dogs. The true hunter was still out there. He was a top billionaire, constantly surrounded by bodyguards. Even his car was bulletproof. A direct assault was impossible. He had to wait for the underground garage door to open and slip inside. He tried to enter the client's apartment building from there, but the access door was locked from the inside. He couldn't get up. He then quietly took a photo of the lock and ordered an identical one online. His new key arrived the next day, but just having the key to the basement wasn't enough. He also needed a key to the client's apartment, so he followed his target to a high-end fitness club. Then, while a staff member was cleaning, he tried to swipe the master key card, but it accidentally got snagged on his clothes.
Man, I'm sorry.
This way, not only did the employee not suspect anything, he even felt a little guilty. The master key was successfully lifted. By this time, the client and his bodyguards were already inside. After they left, he quietly used the key to open the man's locker and find his room card. Then, he quickly made a copy. Then, before the client returned, he went to the underground garage and used his new key to open the iron door. Finally, at Highbridge, he took the elevator straight up to the client's penthouse. While his target was still boasting about his expensive red wine, the hitman was already standing right behind him. After seeing the gun in his hand, the tycoon assumed it was a robbery, saying he didn't keep cash in the apartment. When he didn't recognize him, the man pulled out the original contract. It finally dawned on him. He quickly explained that after the assassination failed, he hadn't pursued the matter because everyone makes mistakes. He said he didn't know how to handle the situation, but that's when the hitman's old boss told him that for another $3 million, he could handle the situation cleanly with no blowback. To avoid being implicated, the client agreed, but as for how the matter was handled, he had no
I'm
idea.
trying to say here, and I can't express this strongly enough. I have no issue with you. Zero. As far as I'm concerned, we're good.
With his years of experience, the hitman knew the man was telling the truth. What happened to his wife had nothing to do with him. Then, but before he left, he warned the tycoon that if he ever crossed him again, it wouldn't be just a chat. Then he was gone. At this point, his mission of revenge was complete. His wife was recovering well. He decided to retire from the business to finally enjoy life with the woman he loved. But could he really leave that life behind? Years of killing had earned him countless enemies, so even when he rested, he never dared to close his eyes, always listening to his surroundings, because once you're in that world, you're in it for life. This was his fate as a killer.